All right, guys. Hi, how you doing? I'm Rob Bass, and I'm here with John Faust. This is a special episode because today we're going to answer all you newbies' questions about Master Universe. I mean, that's kind of a mean term. I shouldn't have called you guys newbies. How can I
We're
call
all
you?
newbies at something at some point in our lives.
See, that's why John's here to make it better.
Creating a Christmas tree, so I might as well put the He-Man on since
Right
we're
now. Just so you guys know, I've been seeing lots of questions on a lot of Facebook groups and a lot of new guys because a lot of not new guys, new people who've come in who are collecting. I guess that's a good thing for the collectors, having more fans. What Mattel wants to make a line last. But I've noticed a lot of fans are asking questions that really we've answered a million times before, and I feel that we need to have a video to kind of just go over all the newbie questions. So, guys, if you're a diehard, you've been a part of this since the beginning, and you're one of us, this video isn't for you. But share it with people who don't know. And you can give them this video. That's hopefully we're going to answer all these questions. And if not, if you have more questions, leave a comment, and we can always answer it in the second part. But just to give just to start it off, who do I have the right to tell? Like we know. Okay, first off, I'm going to talk about who John is. Now, John Faust made a documentary called
I know
Playtime Masters. Now, Playtime Masters is a great documentary about the collecting and love of He-Man. He has a YouTube channel right here on YouTube about toy collecting, and it's called Playtime Masters. How convenient. He also made a trilogy of fan He-Man films, and it had some deep
no
cuts.
longer available, but yeah.
But he's going to have to put them up on the YouTube channel eventually.
No.
Why not?
We'll discuss, but
Okay.
yeah.
Never mind. You're not going to get it, and you suck, and that's why you'll never get this. You have to bootleg it somehow. Wait for it to go into public domain. No, we'll figure all that. We'll talk about that later. After this, you guys can hear that conversation. Anyway, he also did a fan trilogy of He-Man films, so it got really deep cuts in there. So it's got he knows exactly what he's talking about. As for me, I guess I could throw my weight by saying I am one of the co-hosts of Roast School Dinners, which is He-Man.org's official podcast about He-Man, which also runs the PowerCon convention. We're going to get into all that because I hear a lot of people asking questions about that. And that'll be stuff we have to get into. But first off, whoosh, there's so many questions we're hearing. And I guess it's good in a way because having new people into the line is great. But I feel like they're not new so much as that they're fans that were casuals of the cartoon show, maybe had some of the figures, and never looked back.
Yeah.
And so that made me realize that, oh, wow. First out, guys, He-Man is celebrating almost, 30, had just recently celebrated 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're way past that now. I think it's 37.
Well, 83.
83.
So, I mean, we're
2020.
40 years than we are 30. So, yeah.
So we're way closer to 40 than we are 30. Let's just put it that way. I'm not mathing.
Daughter running from math, I'm the same way.
Yeah. She wasn't running away from math. She was just running to math. I don't know. We don't do Common Core. For some reason, I think He-Man's been around for 4,000 years, according to Common Core. Yeah. But with that being said, He-Man has many iterations over the years.
It had many iterations, even in its original run.
Right. But I'm just going to talk about the stuff that if you have to stop after the filmation, there's stuff that happened. Obviously, most people here, even passers-by, are going to know the 87 movie. Later on, there was a New Adventures of He-Man, which came out in 89, lasted about 2 years. From 89 about 1991, and Mattel did the toys for that, which were completely different than the typical He-Man figures. Then in the early 2000s, that came back as the Mike Young Productions He-Man cartoon show, and that ran for 2 seasons as well. Almost had 3, kind of got convoluted, lost in the Cartoon Network shuffle. It had a video game that came out with it. It had a series of comic books by MVC Creations.
That was impossible to find.
What was that, the He-Man video game?
Video game.
It was on Game Boy Advance only, that's why. It wasn't even like on the regular systems. It was like a portable. It was a great game, too. I had it. And then later on, they had the thing called this Skeletor. See, this is perfect. I got my He-Man shirt like I didn't plan this. So then a little bit later on, when 2000X ended, there was a small run called Stactions, which were the leftovers from the 2000X style figures that didn't get made. And then in 2008, the end of 2008, from 2009 on, we had the Master Universe Classics line, which was an adult collector's line. that most of you guys have never seen, or you're probably, if you're on the Facebook groups, you're probably seeing dribs or drabs, and you're like, where can I get these? It's
But I mean, the classics line ran for almost, well,
over
not
10,
almost,
10
over
years.
10 years.
Over 10 years, yeah.
But it was an online only adult collector thing. So I mean, unless you were a hardcore fan,
You didn't know.
you know.
If you weren't collecting the
One of
Toy
my
Fair magazine.
One of my favorite stories was when I was doing the fan trilogy or shortly thereafter or something. One of my best friends, Greg, who lives in Louisiana, he was in Austin with me at the time. He's like, do you want to trade some figures? And I'm like, okay. So he brought over this tub of vintage figures that had been beaten up and, you know, all this stuff. And he was looking at my classics figures thinking they were the same thing. And I'm like, bitch, I am not going to trade my classics figures with you. There's not a chance in hell.
He's setting you up.
I was like, are you giving me all of this? He's like, no. I'm like, I'm not going to trade with you.
Absolutely not. So with that being said,
the moral to that story is he didn't know what it was because he had not heard of the classics.
he really thought they were comparable. You can clearly see they're not the same.
Well, but from a distance, you know, because it's like they are what you think they were when you were a kid, I guess.
Right. That's a good point to bring up. Like your memory is completely different than factual understanding.
Right.
But with that being said, so the classics line went for over 10 years and went from Mattel and went over to Super 7 to finish up, which was why you guys now are seeing a Snake Mountain playset that is this massive playset. One of the first questions I want to get out of the way is, it's available on Big Bad Toy Store because they have purchased a lot.
Do you want to buy that for me, by the way?
Oh, yeah, no problem. I got you.
Because I actually emailed Big Bad Toy Store and I'm like, hey, can you do a payment plan like, you know, originally? Oh, no. And
they're not going to do it for that because you know why they want the money now? Because they're trying to get $1,000 out of it.
Yeah, it's like, what, about $300 or $400 more than it was originally now?
It was $700 when if you dealt with Super 7. And Super 7 had a tiered payment plan as well.
My biggest hope, this is so shitty because I'm making it all about me, but I'm like, if it doesn't sell, I'm hoping maybe they discount it a little bit and then I can go, okay.
Well, you know, I mean, I think they paid at least $700 at Big Bad Toy Store. I don't think they got that much of a deal. Maybe $100 less, if that. Because Super 7 is a much smaller company. The Snake Mountain was a basically not pre-order so much, was like a print on demand in a way. It's not exactly.
It is.
They had to make a minimum, and that minimum they reached, and that's all they made.
Yeah.
People got to understand, like, when you get into these kind of collector stuff, we'll get into the PowerCon stuff eventually. Snake Mountain is a high ticket item. But they did pack it well. I edited Will's review of the whole Will the Collector. You go check his video out on the Snake Mountain playset.
I've done an interview with him too on my channel.
Yes, you go check that out as well. I have to leak. Now I have to put all these damn things in the things below. Thanks. Make it harder for me.
Well, do what I do. Just say you'll do it. And then
do it. But I actually did do it for you when you did the hosting of the other show. But really quick, so
I actually did do it for you, you fuck. Anyway.
I'm not cutting any of that out. I'll leave it all in. I was going to put a skeleton. Yeah. What ends up happening is that it's available, but it's expensive because it was a collector's only piece. And what that means is that the mold, everything was so expensive for the company to make. That for them to make a profit, they were selling at $700. For Big Bad Toy Store to make a profit,
I bet you they didn't make a profit, to be quite honest.
No, I don't think so. There's no way. I mean, if they made minimum, but they had packaged it right. They did everything right. And so you have to understand, so like, it's hard to get. So when people like I want that Snake Mountain, why is it $1,000? Is because it's not a part of the Origins line. When you guys look at the Origins line, know that more than likely we got Castle Grayskull coming. We are definitely probably going to get Snake Mountain. So the best thing you guys can do is just go on the pre-orders and get the Castle Grayskull, so then Snake Mountain can happen.
And for the casual fan, I can see how it's confusing because Origins coming out and then people getting Snake Mountain in hand overlapped, and you've got pictures of people putting Origins on Snake Mountain. and it looks beautiful and cool. But yeah, they're actually two separate lines completely. But I can see how the confusion can be there.
Which is fine for that. I completely get, like, you come like, where is this? What the? I went looking for this. I can't find this. It's like, is this bird? So that was one of the first big things I noticed, was that the whole thing with Saint Mount, which is like you said, like John says, completely understandable. But I want to kind of go back and go a little more simple. And one of the things I noticed a lot of people have been commenting on is not knowing who Scareglow is.
Oh yeah, I've seen that too.
That's something that bothers me, because you say you watch the cartoon show, and if he was on the cartoon show, then it doesn't count. There's a lot of toys that came out from Masters that were not in the cartoon.
Filmation
Yeah.
actually stopped production on He-Man and the Masters of the Universe before the line finished.
Way before. They did 2 seasons.
5
Yeah.
is when they stopped. Then they concentrated on She-Ra for whatever seasons that was. I think it was 2. And some of those characters that kind of came out actually trickled into She-Ra. But
A little
some
bit,
of
yeah.
the, people like Clamp Champ and Scareglow and that wave of figures, they never made it in.
And first, in that wave when Scareglow came out was King Randor.
Yeah.
Those
That was like it was either the final wave or the wave before the final wave. I think the final wave was like
the movie where it was
these are
was
like
Blade, yeah.
Skeletor and all that stuff.
Stuff that no, we never got those. Let's be real. Laser Light Skeletor, Power, Flashlight He-Man, and
Flashlight He-Man.
what is it? Megator and all that. Titus. We never got that. We never had none of that. The last couple of figures that came out basically was Blast Attack and the 2 rotary spinny guys. And, that was kind of like when the line was kind of dying out. So those were very expensive figures as well.
They were trying really hard to kind of refocus, bring in some of that Transformers fandom element.
That was right when they with Stone-Dar and Rock-On. Something in disguise. Did they just really say something in disguise? That's Transformers thing, guys. Come on. And I love how Mattel's like, well, we're going to engineer our own transforming toy. It's just a guy that folds in half and looks like a half of a rock. It's like, I love designs that Mattel makes, but like Rock-On and Stone-Dar were the least thought about figures. Like, we had to make a transform. Yeah, you can make the arms go backwards. Nope.
I loved Rock-On and Stone-Dar.
I do, but their names are backwards.
Well,
the names are backwards. I made a whole video about that. The names are backwards. It makes no sense. Rocks are not smooth and shiny. Stones are. Don't get me started. Damn you, Mattel. You're making me mad. So anyway, Scareglow. And why is Scareglow coming out right now? This is an important thing for you guys to know. I saw someone complain that I want Whiplash and Spike, and I want this, I want that. Yeah,
I've seen that too. But see, half of the people that he's bitched about are unofficially confirmed.
Yeah, the whole original line is coming out unofficially announced. Yeah. But the thing is that my comment to him was, and I think this is a good thing to say to you guys, even if you don't know who Scareglow is, the reason why Clamp Champ and Scareglow and all that are coming is because as of right now, they have the tooling for it.
Yeah.
Because all you have to do is make a new head and armor pieces and the weapon. You don't have to redo legs, boots. Remember, Spikor is going to require all new tooling.
Yeah.
Whiplash is going to be useful because it's going to help make Buzz Off. But as of now, it's all new tooling because then you have to have the snake
legs and so forth.
Yeah, you're going to need that. That's going to be all useful for like I said, Clawful, Buzz Off, Whiplash are going to be all usable parts together. Same thing why we don't have Cobra Khan yet, because Cobra Khan, once again, the whole body is different.
Although I think Cobra Khan is coming only because he's shown up in the artwork.
Yes. So the same with Stinkor, which is because we have Merman. That's easy enough. But to hear about Scareglow not being like someone like, oh, Ed, to this person, it doesn't matter. I'm like, in a way, you have to understand, guys, like if it doesn't matter to you, going online complaining that you want something because you want something, and reality is that when you were a kid, you had no choice. The toys came out when they came out, and you got who you got.
Yeah.
Now Mattel's kind of working the opposite way. And the opposite way is that, hey, we got tooling. We know these figures, what we can do, what we can't. It's very similar to how the Classics line went. Classics had tooling for certain things. Hey, we can do this guy and this guy and this guy. Then we can do this guy. So
also, like going back to the Scareglow thing, Scareglow is a basically cult following figure.
oh yeah, 100%. He's
even if you don't know who he was, the thing that makes him such a big deal is he came out at the end of the line. He was extremely hard to find, and over the years he's been difficult to get a hold of in the secondary, tertiary market. So that's just kind of, and he's kind of a cool figure, but he's just, for whatever reasons, the fans have elevated him to this cool thing, and I love Scareglow. So
Scareglow, because who doesn't like
trying to give us these figures that were in that final wave that are so difficult to get to. But you're right, it's also because it's easy.
Yeah. It's a Skeletor body that you do what do you call it? You sculpt the head a little bit differently. The arms, legs, and body are all the same. You put a cape on it, you give him a Grayskull staff, and you got Scareglow. But what makes him special is that he glows in the dark, and there's nobody you can tell me who doesn't like things that don't glow in the dark. Translucent, clear figures and glow in the dark figures are top on anyone. It doesn't matter who you are. You'll always go, ooh, look at that. Even if you don't want it, you'll be like, ooh, I gotta buy it. Why? Because it glows in the dark. Like it's cool. It's one of those things. Translucent and glow in the dark figures.
Also, for all those like monster kids like myself, I mean, it pushes that like monster button.
Yeah, it looks great.
So I mean, yeah. So
I have to ask a question.
But, Scareglow has a cult following. So
one thing I kind of understand people being mad about Scareglow is he makes way less sense than even Skeletor. At least Skeletor has a regular body with a skull head. Scareglow is a Jack Diesel skeleton. It's like, how is that working? Like, I remember in the comic book, they just drew it like, screw it, this is what it looks like. It's like, I never quite understood, like, is he really a skeleton? Is he got like translucent, like jellyfish skin? And
in my imagination, that's a good word, John. Thank you for using your words today. In my imagination, this is what his body looked like in life. So what we're seeing is sort of the ethereal, like mist, what your body was, and then you kind of got the skeleton underneath it. That's what my imagination.
Head canon, all head canon.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's just a great looking figure.
Anybody else is wrong.
Well, my thing is, I always just treat the character as that's just who he is. Like, I never needed explanation. Like, everyone thinks like, oh, Skeletor did in the comic book, he went zap. Here, I got a ninja guy with webbed feet. Yeah. Don't ask. And I got a skeleton guy who's Jack Diesel like me because, And then the people's comments, like, it says he's the ghost of Skeletor. He's the ghost that works with Skeletor. Don't worry about it.
There's a really cool thing that we can all do called willing suspension of disbelief. But nerds don't know how to do that anymore.
No, man, nerds don't know how to do that at all. We don't know how to it's just a cool figure. To me, he's one of the coolest figures. I had him I had him up until a couple years ago when I lost my whole collection. He was the whole line of figures just got destroyed, which is sad. But
willing suspension of disbelief. Of course, I'm going to make fun of myself now. And I think my ultimate Gizmo review. I picked it apart too because I'm like, do you remember the movie when he got in the Barbie car and started driving around by himself? How did he do that? So, my willing suspension of disbelief just gets thrown out the window.
Well, because that's a movie. This is choice. Let's not get into it. In that world, you can do that. In that world, he has a Barbie car that actually can drive on his own. I mean,
that's right.
I still don't have that. But with that being said, so Scareglow guys know that Scareglow, Clamp Champ, let's just be happy to have these figures online. I think more representation of all kinds of people is great. Getting Ninja and hopefully Jitsu really fast is really cool.
If anything, Mattel is being very aggressive with this. So I think we're going to get a lot of figures
fast,
very quickly. And fingers crossed, we're going to get new characters as well.
Well, that's why we do that whole Master Universe wish list video. It's like we want new characters, and this is what we're going with. But at the same time, I want you guys to know that it's cool. Scareglow is a great figure. You're gonna love it. Like once you if you don't like it because you don't know it, pick it up and give it a shot. I know it's a little disheartening because it's very hard to get those figures right now.
Do you
You
have Scarecrow?
will. Yeah, I got everybody. I'm good. As of right now, I am good.
Okay.
Until a week from now when Zodak shows up in like Texas only, and I'm gonna be like, John, give me Zodak,
I
please.
gotcha.
Get all of them. Get all of them.
I love when I texted you and I'm like, "Do you need Mr. T?
But he didn't say Miss T, just said, do you need tea?
Do you still need Mr. T?" And it like something messed up when I was texting. It's like, "Do you still need me?" And you're like, "I always need you."
But like, what specifically do you need? Like, do
I'm
I
like,
need of you? Like,
"What?" And then I look back at what I wrote.
that was great. I lost my shit when you said Mr. You don't say how important Mr. T is to me. But with that being said, so like, okay, scare goes out of the way, guys. No, it's cool. Pick it up. I think the people who don't like it or feel that it's not something they would have collected, I think when they get their hands on it, I could be like, oh my god, how did I live without this figure?
They're
And simple too.
fantastic
Oh yeah.
figures.
It's a glow in the dark figure. Ah, there's nothing wrong with that. Next thing I saw was people talking about the PowerCon exclusives. I want to kind of just get into this and jump into this right away. The PowerCon exclusives, so many people. Now, I guess over the years, John and me have dealt with PowerCon exclusive people bitching about prices on
Yeah.
exclusives. Exclusives are always more money. It's just what it is. And people don't like the idea of paying more for something, you know.
I mean, it's like the same thing at San Diego Comic Con and everything because there's anyway. Go ahead, you're explaining.
So what happens is that, just like John was saying, is that you get exclusives that are always more money, but the PowerCon exclusives seem to be a little bit more than even like a San Diego exclusive. And the reason why is San Diego Comic Con is a 300,000 people event. PowerCon has roughly between 500 to about 2,000 people at most. It's a much smaller convention, just geared for He-Man fans. So the people who run PowerCon are not Mattel. I want you to understand that. Okay, they are not Mattel. They're just a couple of people, one person particularly, and they're putting this convention together like for the fans.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is that to get those figures made, you have to go to Mattel, explain to them why this would be a good thing for Mattel, right? Mattel this year kind of got involved, but last year, the years before, they weren't forth helping with it. Let's just put it that way. Mattel was in the background, but they weren't paying for the convention. The convention does not come out of Mattel's pocket.
Right.
But Mattel does benefit from the He-Man fans. So the person who runs the convention, he says, hey, let's come up with an exclusive. And they work out, they brainstorm ideas. Here's what we should make, or why we should make it like this, because it's something you don't need, but the diehards will want.
Yeah.
So here we are with this year's PowerCon exclusive, which was only available if you pre-ordered it at PowerCon back, what was it, between March and May or June or April, earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And the idea, it's called Lords of Power. Lords of Power. Now, here's the thing about the history of He-Man and the fan base that we have. We have learned so much in the last decade and a half about He-Man that Mattel forgot about. Let's be real. Don't worry about Scott Knightlick's videos all the time. They don't know everything. They have it in front of their face, and they still didn't know a lot of this evidence.
Yeah.
And it's just coming out because fans find stuff. Fans find these little things. All of a sudden, there's this promotional booklet that says Lords of Power. And we're looking at the pictures going, wait, but that's the prototypes right before the final designs of He-Man, Skeletor, Beastman, Merman, and Man-at-Arms. And like, why does it say Lords of Power? It almost looks like it's fake. And it turns out for a brief time, they were call it Lords of Power. And the Mattel's human resources like, people are very religious in America, and maybe it would not be the good idea to have Lords of Power, and it's anything with Lord should be removed. And hence it went from being Lords of Power to Masters of the Universe. Even though in Roger Sweet's book, he said the head of Mattel was like, that figure has the power. So really quick, so Lords of Power was just a short term for internal for a couple weeks. They sent it out as a little promo package, and then they changed it to Master Universe. So with that being said, the people who run PowerCon were like, hey, let's use the Lords of Power title and make the prototypes that were in that artwork, which is the figures but they were just slightly different. They weren't final designs. They were almost there. He-Man had the blonde hair. Skeletor had a little more color on his chest and it looked more. And Merman was different. And Beastman was all red and like he looked like he was gonna hurt. He looked like a beast man. And of course, Man-at-Arms having that look. So it was slightly different. They were working their way to the final designs. This was to help get promotion out there. That, hey, look, this is coming next year. Be ready. So that's what that's about. So what you're getting with the PowerCon exclusives, it's not just actually just a repaint. Okay, guys, I know you look at it going, well, I can get these figures at Walmart for $15. Yeah, but not these figures.
Yeah.
See, the head sculpts are all different. And the armor on a couple of them are different.
You can equate it back to when Star Wars did those figures based on the Ralph McQuarrie concepts.
Yep. Yeah, which was
the same thing.
Except they made that for retail,
Right.
But yeah, the idea of the Ralph McQuarrie line, which was like
the fans for Star Wars are here, and Masters.
Yeah, much different, much broader. Way more people, even more casual people, even know who Ralph McQuarrie is more than they would anything else. But these were the prototypes. So the head sculpts are new, the armor is basically new, and they have lots of paint apps and lots of paint design. And then, guys, you're not just paying for that; you're paying for special artwork, special packaging. That's coming out of your pocket. Because Mattel, even though they're a part of this, they weren't going to, like, they have a minimum they have to meet, and they're not going to meet a minimum for a convention minimum.
Right.
All right, so which is much smaller.
Yeah.
If this was something that was massive and they were going to sell at Walmart, those figures would be $15, but they're not. So, yeah, you paid closer to what? What was the final price on the PowerCon exclusives?
250,
and that's before shipping.
Yeah. Or $3, I can't remember, but
it was up there. It was up there. It was pretty expensive, and I know with you guys who are the casual fans watching this, will be like, "Well, I'm not paying that money," and that's fine. And the reason why they made these figures exclusive, so you don't have to buy them. That's what's so great about this. These figures are
because you're right. You can go to Walmart and get
Beastman, Merman, He-Man, Skeletor, Man-Moms.
But if you want like the characters from the concepts and the original 4 mini comics,
this is what you need to have. And what's really cool is that that's for a very niche fan base, which are the people who are the ones that go to PowerCon. All right, guys, I want you to know that first out. So you don't need to get it. But if you decide you want to get it, well, it's too late. So now you might be paying scalper prices. We're talking at least $500. Like if I get mine, and you wanted to buy it from me, I'm going to ask for at least $500, at least. And I'm not being a jerk. It's that I'm paying the full price that they released it at the time.
Did the legwork.
I'm not giving it to you for $300 because that's what I paid. It's you didn't jump on it when you had. That's what makes it an exclusive.
So what you're saying is you're trying to find a buyer for your stuff?
Absolutely not. I'm not selling. I'm going to open them and I'm going to swap the parts out and really make everyone mad. Like I'm going to lose pieces and just on camera.
From the images and the videos, the few that I've seen so far, it looks like you can open the packaging, and put them back in.
Absolutely, She-Ra especially
for that. So,
and the She-Ra figure absolutely does the same thing. It has the opening back and the whole thing. It has a special artwork. And let me tell you, the packaging is beautiful. It's a con exclusive artwork. It is absolutely breathtaking. So, but if you're casual and you don't care about Scareglow, you don't have to worry about this. This was something special, so you guys can not worry about it. But I'm hoping that next year. It got you interested that maybe next year's PowerCon you guys will want to get that exclusive, which would then make it easier because the more they sell, the better off prices will be eventually.
Yeah.
It doesn't guarantee it, but it just guarantees that you can have something fun. And on a side note,
speaking of that artwork, and this will be a video that I may do for you for our wish list, but I want that Man-at-Arms tricycle.
I saw it when Pixel Dan opened up the package. I was like, oh, that's from the.
I've wanted that ever since, because for years I thought it was just sort of an early battle ram, but evidently it's
a whole different vehicle. It's actually
a whole different vehicle.
which is if you have the art books, you can see that in there, and then it's oh my god. But with that, so okay, so PowerCon. Let's really quick on PowerCon. PowerCon is the He-Man convention in America, and it is.
Yeah.
We've done videos in the past about this. We've talked about this. You can go to our channel and check out us talk about PowerCon. But PowerCon is not like your typical convention. It's way different, relaxed, a lot of fun, lots of celebrities that worked in He-Man, and just a lot of cool and awesome things. So
And people have become like a family. I mean,
that's how I met John.
yeah.
Honestly, I've known of John before that, but really meeting him at PowerCon was how we got to know each other. I knew of him. I knew everybody else. I have those people on Facebook I knew of until I saw them. Oh wow, look, you actually are a real person, not a
Yeah.
robot. But with that being said, that's the thing about PowerCon. It's a very great convention. It goes out in California, and it's taking place in Anaheim, which is right next to Disney.
Yep.
So when things get better, you can go to PowerCon. You can take your kids. You can go to Disney. Go broke. They come back to PowerCon and buy more stuff and get broke. It'd be great, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great time, and it's like I'm not even trying to promote it right now just because there's no convention right now. I know what I'm trying to promote, but I'm just letting you know, guys, this is why it's a big deal. PowerCon's a big deal to the die-hard He-Man fans, because that's what some really cool exclusive figures that you guys probably might see on Facebook. Like you'll see a Green Dragon that's Granomir for the Filmation cartoon show. That was a PowerCon exclusive, the green version. The Mattel version was red and purple or whatever that scheme was. But that's one of those things, like that's a PowerCon exclusive. That makes it special. And that's why you see the price is like $250, $300 for a Granomir. And you're like, why is that dragging so much money?
Yeah.
There you go. But with that being said, let's talk about He-Man.org really quick. All right,
Okay.
He-Man.org is it made PowerCon. Let's be serious. But He-Man.org was the largest convention for He-Man. I mean, website for He-Man, I should say. Like convention. I'm jumping back on
Yeah.
PowerCon. He-Man.org is like where you go to. The forums are huge there. There's history in that forums that goes back to like 99, 2000. The
Yep.
threads and the history. Like when I learned about James Eatock, who, if you don't know who he is, guys, go find out. He's a Filmation aficionado. Okay,
Historian.
yeah, he is the historian of Masters and some other stuff, but mostly Masters. And he had a blog post called Busted Tune, and how I found about it was on He-Man.org, because they would post there every week or month or whenever he would post it, and he would learn all this stuff. It's a great website. It's been around for a long time, and that's where Mattel would go to get help when they were working on different parts of the line, when the commemorative line was happening, when 2000X was coming around, and then especially when the classics toys were coming out. Since it was an online exclusive, He-Man.org and other forum groups became like therapy trying to get those online exclusives.
Yeah.
You
And the
complain
other
about Walmart.
especially for people who are new to all of this, on the main page, not in the forums, but you can go kind of click around, and it has archive photos and descriptions of all the toys released, most of the media, every
Mini comics.
incarnation. I mean, it's like the encyclopedia of.
Yeah, anytime you need anything that we work on, like when I was working on my wish list and I needed some information, I would go on to I needed to know okay, what was up with this mini comic that had this character in it? Like it was, when did that comic? Because you read in the comic book, the years don't matter to your brain. You look at the mini comic, and as an adult, you try and go back. Like when did this what toys? What did this make? Where is this mini comic from? Who figures came with this? Like what figure came with this mini comic? And your brain. But He-Man.org helped me out religiously. Go this. Or I was trying to find out about Slave City, which is Lodar.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the He-Man.org, and then boom, Slave City, all the interior pages, who drew the book, who wrote it, the history about it, boom, 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 the breakdown of the story, and what figures it was packed with. That is like next level of knowledge that you need to have, and He-Man.org has that. So a great way, guys, before you go run to a Facebook group asking a simple question, I would suggest He-Man.org right off the bat, and just search the archives, because you go on Google, remember that site we told you about, google.com, and type in He-Man first mini comic, and then you go, and then Google will show you an ad for some crap,
Yeah.
like protein shakes, and then you'll find He-Man.org. Then they'll have your information. So it's a really good resource. I would really suggest that people go check out. And it's a very safe, family-friendly site too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I will say this. Sometimes when you're new and you want to be part of the community, sometimes people ask questions just because they want to be. They don't know how to start the conversation.
Right.
They don't know how to kind of insert themselves. So I get that, and I think it should be inclusive to everybody, and I think that nobody should be afraid. We're certainly not discouraging people from asking questions and being part of the community. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But at the same time, there are some grumpy people. I'm not one of them. I'm precious, but there are people out there that are like, oh, because I've seen it, and I'm like, come on.
It's like, really, God.
If you're like legitimately like, how come, who is this? Google that crap. But
Any Facebook group has that. It's like, I made a comparison. My wife has a Facebook group that's a Japanese learning Facebook group. So there's people that come asking like straight up beginner questions, and it's like a million times that different people ask that question, and like
they're like, where is Japan?
Yeah. Where is Japan? What is Japan? It's like, what is Japanese all about? What's that silliness about? So it's so funny. Like you see people in the thread are like just saying nasty stuff. Like some people answer the question, and a lot of people just being nasty. Then I realized on Facebook groups, what's really hard about Facebook groups, as opposed to like a He-Man.org,
there's no moderators.
Forget the moderators. But when a question's been asked before, it disappears in the ether of questions being asked or posts of like figures and stuff. So you kind of feel bad, like, and you see people,
it gets lost in the stream of memes.
I wish Facebook had a way, especially for Facebook groups, to have a like not just a pin to the top, but like I guess they do have like tabs. A lot of newbies don't really know tabs. I wish it was an easy way, like, okay, frequently asked questions.
I mean, you can certainly do
Was
that, but it's just very.
It's hard in Facebook. It's not user friendly.
It's not user friendly.
No, it's definitely not. But that's why we're doing this video. Hopefully, we're going to try and answer a little more questions instead of just bitching about stuff. But with that being said, I do have to give a shout out to Kieran Shea, because that boy is amazing for one reason. On all those Facebook groups, every time someone has a basic question, I think he has like a notepad, copy and paste it with everyone's base. Kieran, I'm going to ask you when we'll call you up one day and go, you got that on the side, right? You got like a little notepad file with ink, copy, paste. Oh, what is this one? Scaregogan, copy, paste. PowerCon, copy, paste. Because when I go, before I can even say anything, Kieran's already put like a whole description, and it's beautiful. It's like, well, he wants to get them, he's being cool about it. He doesn't get angry. He just answers the question. And it becomes a thing where it's like, I feel though, I want people who are getting into this, especially if you're a parent and you had it as your kid, so you're buying it for yourself and your kids, which I think is beautiful, because buying more figures, especially for the price point, you can't beat it. I think it's cool, but I feel that when you come out asking questions that are just so simple, that I feel in this day and age, we do have many resources that you can find. I can honestly ask about Scare Glow's, the Ghost of Skeletor, the Ghost of Skeletor, the ghost that works for Skeletor, this ghost who is in the bathroom next to Skeletor. I get that part can be confusing because, matter of fact, it confused the He-Man diehards for years.
I mean, I don't know.
It really, the whole, just that title of what Scareglow was, instead of him just being his own character, they had to put that byline, and it really confused even the diehards for years. So I understand that question. But if you're going to ask, why is this character out or why is this character not out yet? That's kind of like a question, like, I guess you just want to vent, but at the same time, think about it. It's like, you guys are adults, you're pretty smart, you can be savvy. Try to put two and two
also together. Remember, I mean, even though this was announced a while ago, we've really only started getting the figures since September, maybe October.
Yeah, for some people, not even yet. I feel fair for some people who haven't gotten it yet.
Realistically, we've only started getting these figures for the past maybe 6-8 weeks.
Yeah.
And look, we've got basically 3 waves. Of course, the third wave hasn't hit the United States yet.
Yeah.
Thanks,
John.
Stuff is coming.
No, what I love them, it's amazing how the figures are coming, and it's another testament to Mattel, is what they decided to pick and choose for the beginning. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, they could have just went through the original line as is, but I feel that's silly because
I
without
love
doing,
that they change it up because it's a bit more of a surprise.
oh, if you people just followed the way they did it before, when you were a kid, you just wanted the back of the mini comic or the back of the packaging, the 8 back, and it would tell you what characters are coming out. To me, my most favorite memory about wanting to get He-Man figures was the first mini comic, and they had the drawings and the 2-page fold. It was like yellow, and it was Zodak, and it was Castle Grayskull, and it had like Beastman was still like that giant drawing, and it's like, man, I want that figure. Then when you saw Beastman, like, oh, what happened? Did they shave him? But it's all right, you don't care. And uh, you just accepted it. I think now as adults, we tend to over want things. Well, I want this and I want that. I think the idea is kind of go with the flow. Like we're getting the chance to hunt again and just be surprised about the figures, even though they do tell us what figures are coming out. It's still a surprise when you get it because obviously sometimes it's a surprise that the figure's not wonky. I've seen some of those. I've seen the Orcos and I've seen the Evil Lins, and I'm like,
Yeah.
boy, those don't look good. But I've heard Mattel's been fantastic about replacing pieces. And one guy on the forum said that he had 2 left feet Beastman, and they just shipped him a new Beastman.
Oh wow.
So hey, that's great. But I think how this line is going, it's going fast, and they've announced a lot. And I am so happy that certain characters are coming before others because I get, like we talked about, it's easier. But I
Yeah.
think for the fan base, I think it's important for you guys who are new to start learning about some of these later characters. I think it's great. It doesn't hurt to learn about Scareglow or Clamp Champ or, especially now you're getting Ram Man as a deluxe, get Skeletor, Battle Armor, and Battle Armor He-Man. There's such great stuff coming out that it kind of just jumps all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic to have it. And I think what's helping the fans is the Masters WWE is filling that void while you're waiting for
Yeah. Yeah.
your next wave of figures. And I think that helps out a lot too. But I see the fans, and I see the fans have been pretty cool even about the WWE ones. A lot of the fans that aren't wrestling fans have been like, you know what? I'm going to pick that up. That's pretty cool because they realize the playability. This is the biggest problem. And I'm glad we brought the playability. Was the thing that's been driving me the most crazy about this new Origins line, because it's not just about He-Man. Now it's even within the Origins line understanding, and this is the biggest thing Kieran Shea has copy and pasted a million times. Someone's getting the toy, goes, my figure's broken in package, and Kieran copy says, the arms snap back, and that's a play
Yeah.
feature. Guys, if you're watching this, please know that the figures are meant to be a DIY. You can take apart the heads, the waist, the shins, the arms, and the wrists, like from factory, and you can snap them into anybody else. And that's a new value. You could make your own. You always wanted He-Man to have a mustache. You could give him Man-at-Arms head, and now you have He-Man with a mustache because that is your thing, and you're into it, and I ain't going to judge. So you're welcome. Like you could do that now. And it's a great thing. It's a great added feature. And I think it's something that, in a way, if you remember as a kid, I knew kids that would do that. They would battle with the He-Man figures, and the axe would, like, they take the arm off, like it chopped off their arm. It's like barely a flesh wound. And, but then they took it to the next level now where it's interchangeable pieces. It makes it fun. I think at the end of the day, like, that's the one thing that you're not even looking at the back of the packaging that explains that. And that's a really annoying thing to see people complaining about, oh, why is this arm loose or why is this?
Excuse me. I don't think the back of the packaging does explain that you can take the arms and the waist and all that stuff off.
Hold on. I shall return.
You have to buy me Snake Mountain if I'm right.
Yeah, I'm going to have to buy you Snake Mountain. Wow. It does not say that.
See, that's been the kind of the thing is like it's a discovery. There's nothing. I mean, Mattel has acknowledged that they do this and they're supposed to do it, but there's been no instruction or anything. So if you aren't aware of it, you're like,
wow, that is. Hey, I'm a noob. I didn't even see that. I was too busy ripping the stupid toys out and ripping the heads off to even pay attention to that.
Damn it,
It
Rob.
doesn't even say it. So you guys, you got one on me. Everyone gets a Snake Mountain from me. Try to take me to court for that one. Not gonna happen. Anyway, but
I would rather you donate it back to Rebecca and have her have a good Christmas.
yeah. She can live inside Snake Mountain. Snake Mountain's probably the size of her bedroom. It's really so. Yeah, that's a really failed feature that they didn't say that. So I guess I can't blame the fans for that. I do apologize for the new fans. That is,
I mean,
that should be explained.
one of the things that's been cool is Mattel has kind of put out these little stop motion videos. They need to just do something that demonstrates that.
There, you know what I love? I don't know if you guys have seen this. Back in the, of course you didn't see it because no one's nuts like me. The Japanese Transformers commercials back in the day would show you how, like, when you would do the combiners, let's say Bruticus, that you could take the arms and they would and it would switch it and put the arms, so you could put the arms on this guy, you could turn it, put it on this way, you could put the legs, switch it out to show that it didn't have to just be the way, like this guy here and this guy here. You can alternate the pieces, and they would show it in the commercial. And they could show that's how it's interchangeable. And then how other guys in the lines, that they have the exact same kind of, any build of figures will all have the basic same construction, that you could take the aerial bots and the stunticons and they can actually intertwine their arms and legs because they had the same snap feature. That would be an awesome thing to see, like Skeletor does a magic and like turns Beastman and Merman into each other. I mean, I think that'd be a great idea.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, see, I do apologize because I don't know what my brain, I guess because we knew
you a consultation fee for that.
Yeah, we should charge Mattel for that. Hey guys, just want to let you know that this, I want you guys to feel comfortable. We want you guys to embrace it the way we do. We're not everyone's gonna be a jerk. Let's trust us. There's a lot of nice people, and definitely the more you find at the He-Man.org, there's a lot of information. I swear by it. That's a place to go. And there's actually great books out there, all by Dark Horse, which are all done by actually people who on He-Man.org. Funny thing, John helped work on a lot of those books. So we have the Dark Horse books. We're gonna have to. You have to search it out, guys. It's a lot of great books. It has the complete mini comic book collection, which is great. Which all the mini comics from everything, even I think Lost ones were in there. I think at the end.
Yeah.
And it's a completed, the complete works of the mini comics. So you can have that. You can read it to your kids, or you can read it for yourself. And the books aren't super expensive. It's like $30 a pop. And they're coffee table size books. Yeah. They look good in your collection. Like John,
like Amazon has sales on them all the time.
Oh yeah. John said the newspaper collection, which is great because you didn't know anything about He-Man being a newspaper. They have as complete as they could have because there was pieces missing. They have almost a complete set of the whole entire newspaper strip, which is still amazing enough to have any of it. The history of He-Man, the encyclopedia, what was the book called? The whole index of the compendium. Character guide. Yeah. The complete compendium character guide from Master Universe. So
that's the one that I worked on with 100,000 other great people. So, and
it has every version of He-Man for the most part. It has pretty much everything you can need. It's like 700-800 pages. It's a huge book. It's massive. It's a great book to have. And that, if you need to know anything about He-Man, it's going to be in there. Let me tell you, it's a salvation when you need to look up content. These books are great, and they're really affordable. And they go back to helping the people who worked on it. So I think profit is good. With that being said, yeah, I mean, guys, we want you to be comfortable. We want you to embrace the line. I love seeing people playing with their kids with this because that's what toys are about. Playing with your kids, you playing what you haven't. I'm loving all the photography coming out of it. I always thought collectors did great photography. There's a lot of toy artists who do great photography work, but just seeing the regular people embrace this line and photograph and just going crazy and being creative, it's made me enjoy things more than ever because I don't remember classics having a lot of people customizing themselves.
They were too expensive.
Yeah, they were too expensive. So this, like, you don't mind if you F up this figure, it's all right. It was
Yeah.
It's nothing. Look at that. I just threw it to the wayside. It means nothing. Go buy 10 more. Because let me tell you, this will be on the shelf forever.
These are for kids. Classics weren't. I mean,
No.
they had a lot of small parts, and and just the price point on them. It's like
Started at 25. They kind of went up to 35, and they kind of
yeah.
pushed almost to 40, and it wasn't good. I actually, so funny. I was cleaning out an email, one of my Gmails, and it has. I apparently have all my confirmation emails from every single Classics figure from Mattel, from Matty Collector. I saw email from the Palace Guards and Hordak, and I'm like, why do I have all these emails saved from from these figures? And they were
Well, back in the day, you definitely needed to have some track
proof.
information and proof because there occasionally were some mix-ups. Let's put it.
Absolutely. But with that being said, guys, I want to thank you. Hopefully this helped you at all. I should have wrote a script, probably been smarter, but we were just kind of riffing, and I was just in the mood to talk about it. Yeah, script. Who needs a script? I know all the stuff in my noggin. Didn't help anybody. I know right now this helped nobody. We get the same questions. But I want to thank you guys for watching. What would be great is you subscribe to this channel because you'll be following up on all the great content we provide. John does help me out occasionally, which he's awesome at it. And you need to go over to Playtime Masters YouTube channel and subscribe to him and follow all the awesome stuff he does. He's doing some great toy reviews. He does a lot of awesome interviews with collectors. And if you're watching this video and you have a huge collection, maybe reach out to John and maybe do an interview because we want to see everyone's collection. We want to see everyone's toy collection. We want to see what you guys have, and just share the love. And listen, don't be jerky. I know some questions get annoying. I mean, oh my god, like what is He-Man? It's like, oh my god. But no, jokes aside, no one says that. I don't think yet. It could happen, but with that being said, guys, just give the people who are new a little chance to learn. I think people can learn. I mean, the Marvel Universe exists.
Don't scare them off,
Yeah, don't scare them. I mean, look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? There's people who got into those films that knew nothing about comic books and actually got out learning a lot about comic books and started wanting to learn a little bit about it and go check it out. So maybe that's a gateway drug. This could be the same thing. So it might be. All right, guys. I want to thank you. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Go follow his channel. And start recording.